come across this competency of coaching presence. And in my coaching, especially with senior leaders, developing executive presence is usually something that many of them bring in their conversations. I suspect it's because they've got feedback from their own senior bosses saying that you've got to develop gravitas and everything. So suddenly people say, give me some mantras and tips to develop coaching, to develop presence. But what our conversation right now is really about what we need to do as coaches to develop a coaching presence. And what does that mean? And I love this one by Maurice Sendak. Maurice Sendak is a French illustrator. He has some brilliant diagrams. So everybody should be quiet near a little stream and sit down and listen. So a lot of coaching presence is not doing anything. It's just being who you are. And I think that's important. But before we go there, let's look at the ICF definition of what is coaching presence. Just let's quickly go through this. For example, the ability to be conscious, create spontaneous relationships with the client, employing a style that is open, flexible, and confident, is present and flexible during the coaching process, dancing in the moment. I'm sure all of you are experienced coaches. You've done a lot of coaching, many of you. So it'd be good to know, for example, very quickly before I get into some of the do's and don'ts really, what does present and flexible mean in your perspective? Anyone? Just a few thoughts around this. What do we mean by flexible?
Can I?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, dancing with the client is flexibility.
Yeah. But what does it actually mean? These are great words, and I love the words when I first read them from ICA. But what does it really mean when you're sitting in front of a client and you're coaching? What is
being very natural, very modest, and deep learning, not getting into advising. Just listen, and listen.
Right. That's good.
Just add here, active listening, picking up the keywords that the client is talking about, and then following through with the questions so that there is a relationship between his comment and your question.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. What else?
So Prasad, there are a couple of comments in chat. Lata is saying not having your agenda, going with their needs.
Right.
Chitra is saying slowing down responses, and Adit is saying being open to go along with the client's agenda.
So Prasad, I don't know whether it makes sense or not, but to me, flexibility possibly means that me being open to everything what the client says. I mean, I will not put in my judgment over there at all in any case. So that's what flexibility to me means.
No, and it's true. See, many of us, for example, would have faced situations where the coaching conversation doesn't go the way it ought to go, right? Second, you might see issues about the client that suddenly pop up, and you wonder what do you need to do here, or the coaching agreement just takes too long, and you're getting a little jittery and wondering where is the whole coaching call going. It's at these moments that flexibility and presence becomes important, right? Flexibility is as a coach, especially, is simply recognizing that at some point of time, the client will just want to lead the way and allowing the client to do that. That's it. Okay. And literally being with that client along every step of the way, being curious to know where the client is taking you. Now, that is a very fundamental aspect of presence, because presence implies absence. And what I mean when I say presence implies absence, you are very present as a coach when the client doesn't see you. You're invisible. That's a very interesting way of looking at this. It's because you're not imposing yourself on the coachee at all. The coachee is simply, completely comfortable talking to you. Many of us, for example, find it difficult as coachees to bring about that presence, as a form of absence in the coaching. And that's something I just want us to think about, what that actually means, right? Okay. Accesses his own intuition, trusts one's inner knowing, goes with the gut, is open to not knowing and taking risks. This, to my mind, actually brings our presence out in a very big, in a tremendously important way. Let me explain. I was coaching this client of mine, just happened last week, and he was working with a family-owned concern, and there are many issues. He was talking about many things, and I was just paying attention, just listening to him, just being there. And then I asked him very clearly, an extremely personal observation on his relationship. I can't share that with you on this call because this is going to go on YouTube. But what a very extremely personal observation of his relationship with the owners of the company. I noticed something there. And he stopped and he said, Prasad, you're absolutely right. It's true. Now, the ability to take that risk and bring out what is so obviously clearly visible and sharing it with the coachee is an extremely important part of coaching presence, because you're making your presence felt as a coach, okay? And you're signaling to that person that there is this relationship, however nice it is one of coach and coachee, right? You have a role to play. You're challenging the coachee. You're surfacing issues which he otherwise wouldn't have seen, and you're doing it directly. You're telling him straight exactly what it is. Now, to my mind, that's a very important part of coaching presence. Does that make sense? Any questions very quickly on this?
Prasad, the examples will give us.
Okay, for example,
we'll remember what question you asked over here. You said directly.
Okay, I asked him, do you respect the relationship you currently have with your employer? Because I sense that it doesn't exist. It's lacking. What do you think? What do you have to say about that? That stopped him in his tracks, because that's as direct as an observation as you can give. Would you agree with that? Because it was important for him to recognize this as one of the challenges that he was facing. Yeah.
Prasad, one question here.
Sure.
Does it somewhere overlap to judging a client?
What do you think?
I think I am making a judgment that this is happening.
When is this a judgment and when is this an observation? What is the distinction between a judgment and an observation?
Observation is you just observe, you're not there. And judging is you add your own mind to it.
Any other thoughts?
What I think is that you have probably a relationship with your coachee, and it's not your first couple of conversations. So when you ask it in this way, it challenges the coachee to think differently.
Absolutely. It's also the way you present this observation. That's what coaching presence is all about. I didn't dump it on, right? As a coach, you can't just dump it, right? What you have to do is you have to take his permission and share it in a way with your voice and tone, in a way that the coachee understands that this is an observation you're sharing with him, not a critique of who he is. And that is the skill of part of coaching presence. You might have all the skills with you. You might even have the right question, but the way you deliver this observation, the lightness with which you deliver the observation, the voice tone, the permission that you take is all a part of the coaching presence. Because it is a message, and communication always is about content and delivery, as we all know. Presence is how you deliver. How you communicate is presence. Knowledge is your skills, and as a coach is your ability to pick that gap. But picking that gap and communicating that gap are entirely different skill sets. And that's what coaching presence, in my view, is very important. Yeah?
So typically, sorry.
Go ahead.
I just had a comment that when I'm talking to a client and face a very similar kind of situation, I generally add a couple of words in front of the question, which is like, I get a sense, or I get this intuition, and then kind of put that question and just say that, what do you feel about this? Or am I correct when I say this? What is your take on this?
That works, whatever works for you. Essentially, you're creating a bridge between, you're creating a bridge, a sort of a softening before you deliver the message. How you do that is up to you. Absolutely. I do that myself, and it works, right? I notice this, as Chitra has said. This is what I seem to see. I sense this. I notice this. This is what I observe. These things are important. And therefore, you'll find that humor and lightness of being is very important part of coaching presence. When you confidently shift perspectives, what I was trying to do here with him was shifting perspective. Because his perspective all the time was in himself. He needed to recognize that the problem was much larger. And the problem was not about who he was. The problem was how he was responding to what was going around. That's a shift in perspective. And presence allows you to create that shift in perspective. Through humor, through the lightness, through the voice, through smiling that we have to do. Everything is communicating and signaling to the coachee that we're all in this together. Okay, I'm with you. I'm walking beside you. I'm with you. But this is what I see. This is what I see. This is what I sense. This is what I notice. Yeah. And therefore, what you're doing here is you're demonstrating confidence in working with strong emotions. Strong clients, many of the people, coaches you might meet could be successful, could be strong clients in their own rights. Our presence has to communicate the fact that I'm equally strong as a coachee to engage with you. Right? I'm equally grounded and centered as a person to bring this up with you, to have this discussion with you as well. Yeah. Any questions on this? Any thoughts?
Prasad, a little question. If there is a very strong emotion which is existing at that moment of time, I might sound naive over here, but so be it. Would humor in that kind of a situation be helpful? Does it help?
Again, when we talk about humor, I'm sure all of us have recognized that it's really about breaking the ice. It could be a laugh, it could be a smile, it could be simply, just looking at that person and smiling so that he or she recognizes the absurdity sometimes of the emotional of the reaction of that person. That itself, they see the funnier side of it. Why am I so serious when I don't have to be so serious? That's the part of the humor that's important, right? So if you're good at making a light remark, go ahead and do so. If you're not, then humor can be expressed in these ways. Because I'd be careful to ensure that you don't say something to make the other person feel small, because sometimes humor cuts both ways, and you cannot allow your coachee to feel small or feel embarrassed by the fact that the person has. And when the coachee feels embarrassed, the coachee feels small, and that's that puts back the relationship.
Prasad?
Yes, please.
Can motivating words be used as an icebreaker?
In the sense?
Like, some kind of an exclamation. Oh, wow, that's nice. I've seen it works. There's a bridge immediately that happens.
True. Absolutely.
That's really good. What you're doing is already very good.
See, what our conversation right now here is about coaching presence as a competency. And that's, I think, if I were to bring our conversation back to focus on coaching presence is not so much about the skills. I'm sure we have the skills of, uh, having that communication, like you said, using motivating words to make the person feel good. Those are different skill sets. Those are part of different competencies. Coaching presence is about who you are. Okay. And who you are comes from complete listening, like we said, and paying attention to what is not being said rather than being said. Presence is about paying attention to what the person is trying to tell you but is not sharing with you. And our presence allows the other person to come up with his or her conversations, observations, anything that then allows you as a coachee to pick up the trends and the threads of what's going on. And that's largely a part of your presence, right? You're listening, reflecting, you're noticing. Yeah. You're being invisible to the person so that the person actually talks far more than that person otherwise would have intended to. That's those behaviors, those open behaviors, the openness that the coachee demonstrate is because of our presence and what we are doing to bring about the presence, right? And the number of things that we need to do to actually enhance our presence, which I thought I might share with you, my own observations over the years. Once the coaching sessions are, once we're through with the coaching session, I get my observations. If that's okay, Vivek.
Yeah. So, Prasad, just one request. I think in a couple of minutes we should enter into the rooms. Can you just, with your experience of coaching and again MCC,
sure,
if you could tell us now that since we're going to do practice, what are the 3-4 things if we could take care of? I'm coming from more of a process and formula, and I know presence is not a formula. But for today's session, if you could tell us, friends, out of these 6-8 statements, let's focus on demonstrating these 3-4 today. And so while people demonstrate, the observers also can observe. So what are your expert comments on that?
So, the challenge here, Vivek, always has been with presence is that it's not a skill, right? So because it's not a skill, it's not something that we can pick off. It's something about who you are. So a few things that might help. One is to be fully present in the coaching conversation, which means like before you go for a call, if you've had a difficult week or a difficult day, and we're all human beings, we're all subject to all the pushes and pulls that we have, is to take time out and just calm down and focus on the coachee. That's really important. Don't rush into the coaching call from one other coaching call to the other coaching call and then try to say, when I get in, I will make this happen. No. I think as a coach, do we have the discipline or the process saying that if I have 3 coaching calls a day, I'm going to space them out so I have enough time for me to recuperate and get back to be fully present with the coachee. That, to my mind, is important. Okay. The second aspect of a coaching presence is to recognize that a large part of what I bring to the client is who I am, right? So do I have, am I clear about what my objectives are, what my purpose is as a coach? I know this sounds surprising, but most of the time we coach people because they're trying to make sense of their own world. That's why they're being coached, and they're looking at us to help them make sense of what's going on. As a coach, have you worked on yourself to make sense of who you are, why you're doing what you're doing, what exactly is going on with you, right? Do you have a sense of purpose? These things really help when you start getting into call, because when you go to a call and you're clear and free of these anxieties, your coaching simply starts happening, because you don't really have to, you're there, you're present with that person. But if you have other distractions, if you have other challenges, objectives, and I'm going to talk more about this after this is over, but this is important. So one is, take your time out. Don't rush into any call. If it's a difficult call, think about it. Okay, spend some time thinking about what's going on there. How do you gather the energy to be effective in that call, right? What's your sense of purpose? And the third is to keep reminding yourself that if I don't have a good question to ask, I can always share an observation. If I don't have a good observation to share, I can always tell the coachee I don't understand what's going on. Okay, what the purpose of presence is to make the person understand very clearly how you stand with that person. Okay, because people respond to authenticity far more than anything else. So if you say, listen, Rahul or whatever, we've been speaking for 15 minutes, but I really don't know what's going on right now. Can you help me explain what's going on? Can you help me? I don't understand this. Can we go there? So the way we have these conversations, the way we present those questions, the way we, open ourselves up to people makes a huge difference in terms of presence. Presence is not about being the best in the business. Presence is just being the best of who you are at the moment with that person. That's all. And that's all people want. People are not judging you, right? Coachee certainly doesn't judge you, but he does if you're not open enough with that person, right? So these are the three things which I thought were really important. And some of the larger big picture stuff I'd share after the session is, after the trials are over. Is that okay? Yeah.
Yeah. So is it a good time, Prasad, for us to do demo?
Yes, go ahead. Absolutely.
So if you could stop sharing your slide, please.
Yes, please.
I'll share my bit.
Yeah.
Super duper. Let me share the screen. Let me stop light. And share screen. You can see my screen. Okay, I see a few people joining just now. So people have just joined. A quick update for you. So we have went through the speaker introduction, and Prasad gave his views on 15-20 minutes on what presence is. We quickly went through the competencies part of it, and now it's time for us to do some practice. As I said, this is the agenda. We had the flow, the speaker to speak on presence, then coaching practice and Q&A with the speaker, followed by the demo. This is what we're going to do. I think 45 minutes, or let's make it 40 minutes. We'll do coaching in triads. And so you can play 3 roles: coach, client, observer. Typically, the minimum time for coaching for one round, we give 20 minutes. So see if you could just finish one coaching, again, keep it confidential, bring in real life issues, no hypothetical issues. And whoever is observer, I've pasted those 3 things Prasad said. You can make an observation to the coach, or 3 of you can discuss what are the things coach demonstrated as far as presence is concerned in the room. And yeah, give feedback, and we'll close the room in 40 minutes. That's what I'm doing. I think in 40 minutes, you can do one good coaching and then conversations. Anytime you require help, call me. There's a button saying ask for help, and I'll join your room. Prasad, since you are also one of the participants, I think you will be taken to one of the room, and okay, I will keep on shuttling between the rooms, right? And so we got around 23 people in the call. If I do -1, which is 22, 21, 8, 7 breakout rooms. So just give me a minute. I'm going to create 7 breakout rooms. One room may have 4 people.
We have 28 people, right?
So in my, it's saying 22 now.
Okay.
I think there were more people. I don't know. This number is going up and down. How many people you see, Prasad, there now at your end? I also saw a higher number. I think suddenly there were more people actually. Now there are 22. I think few people dropped out.
I saw 28. Now they're 22, you're right. Yeah.
I think a lot of network issues I see.
Okay, sure.
Some rooms have 2 people. Let me just recreate rooms. Yes, there's some issue looks like. Let me create 6 rooms. I'm just creating 6 rooms on the safer side since some people are getting dropped off due to network issues. So 6 rooms. First 2 rooms have 4 people. So you just manage 2 people can take observer. And yeah, so 1 person plays the role of coach, then 1 person coachee. Couple of people can be observer in room 1 and 2. And let me see, Prasad, which room you are in. If you, yeah, you're in room 2. All right, we'll see you in 40 minutes. If you require any help, give me a shout and I'll join that. Yeah, we're going to do coaching demo and observation. Just keep on the presence only. Yeah, we are not going on agreement and creating safety and all. Just stay with presence. Yeah, see you in a bit. There are 2 ways you can join breakout room. There will be a pop-up on your screen, and plus you will have an option at the bottom of your screen saying join the breakout room. Yeah, bye-bye. So I've opened all the rooms. So friends, welcome back, and apologies if your room got closed in between, but I just want to give more time to Prasad looking at time. People who have just joined, a quick recap. What we did is Prasad spoke, Prasad, our speaker for the session, spoke for 15 minutes on presence. Then we did a small, very quick breakout room where people could practice and give feedback to each other on what was observed. And we'll invite a couple of volunteers about their experience of how was the breakout room. And then I'm going to invite Prasad to do 2 things, his expert comments, the pending comments on presence competency, and then we'll do Q&A. Yeah. So if I'm going to invite a couple of volunteers to share how was the breakout room experience for you, you can raise your hand or unmute and start speaking, whatever.
Yeah, Vivek, I think we can go first, but I would let Lata to speak because she was the observer. I was the client and Rajiv was the coach. Okay. So maybe Lata, over to you, but let's go ahead and share. I will add if possible.
Yeah, Lata, crisp and brief.
Rahul, this is like really crazy. You take up the scene and then say, I'll talk. So anyway, as an observer, so in our case, what happened was we didn't have a live coaching happening. Yeah. So Rahul had brought a case of one of his clients and he was role playing, which the coach figured out later on in the session. So, so we had to actually pull it off and say that at some point we close, and then we helped him with the solutioning. So there wasn't much to share there because it didn't go in the way it should have gone. But the nice thing was there was good coaching presence, and the coach did take time to help him settle down and kept with the coach's agenda and not get coach's agenda and not get carried away by all of that was being put on the table. So that's what it was. It was more of a role play. It wasn't a coaching.
Okay. Thank you. I see Abhijit's hand. So we'll take one more and then Prasad, I'll hand it over to you. Sure. Yeah, Abhijit.
Hey, thanks, Vivek. I think the experience was surreal. I think I was one of the reasons perhaps was because of the fact that I was the coachee as well as the observer. So this was a very typical group, and I'm sure all of you are fabulous coaches. But I had my experience, one of the best coaches that I've encountered up to this point of time. That was Chitra. I think she was the poise that she exhibited, the calmness that she created in the entire discussion. I've never seen something of this in my life. So thank you so much. That was great. Awesome.
Awesome, Chitra. Super duper. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah. Prasad, over to you.
Friends, I'm curious, what did you do? from your perspective.
I think Abhijit actually gave me feedback about what happened between the two of us.
Right.
One thing was Abhijit was incredibly open.
Okay.
I think he just came and he shared from his heart. And I think in the engagement, it was really easy for me to just hold that space and really just be there and really only intervene when there was really something that I wanted. I offered for him to deepen. And I think that's what happened between the two of us.
Excellent.
Wow. Very nice.
And I like to build on that, and on what you just said. And this whole point of the purpose of coaching presence as a competence is really to just be there, okay, and be present. And what does being present mean? Being present is recognizing when you need to intervene, when you need to ask that question. Otherwise, you just need to be there for that person, okay. And that is sometimes difficult if you have to demonstrate. If the feeling that we have sometimes is, I need to demonstrate that I'm a coach. I need to prove my coaching skills. I need to make a difference. You're already making a difference by being who you are. That's it. Okay. You're already making a difference if you feel that the person is opening up and communicating and talking and sharing. You're already there. And the third aspect is like I said, presence is really about absence. Is about absence of your need to make a difference. Your own need to demonstrate to everybody how good you are. It's not conscious. It's very much there, self-conscious, but it's not about you at all. It's about the other person. That's what really presence is. And presence is not, again, sometimes, about really that person should remember this coaching session when they leave. Nothing of that sort. Presence is when you notice a contradiction that the other person slipped by and he never noticed or she never noticed, and you brought it up. That's when you're a present. The person says, oh, that's interesting. I never noticed that. You noticing what other people, what your coachee doesn't notice is presence. Okay. And bringing that up is when the person knows that you are truly there, because your role is to see what the other person doesn't see. Okay. That's why you're present. Right? Does that make sense? In that sense? Yeah. And also, we know we're present when we don't push people. I'm using the word push because sometimes, unbeknownst to us, we tend to ask questions which are really asked just to satisfy our own curiosity about a situation, but don't help the person at all. There's lots of information as a coach you really don't need. What you need is to help the person move along. Okay, that's it. Okay, we have to be curious about the other person's issue, not curious about many other things which are not relevant to the situation on hand. And holding yourself back and listening and being present to his or her situation and issues is what presence, in my view, is really all about. Yeah? So the person feels at the end of the session that, wow, I did everything myself. Thank you so much. And I really like that one observation of yours, that one question of yours, whatever it is, that sort of made me think. That's when you're present. Because you come out when it is really necessary for the coaching. Otherwise, you're in the background listening. Yeah? Metamorphically speaking, of course. Right? You're always there with him. Does that make sense? Yeah? Okay. That's my 2 cents, Vivek.
Yeah, so, Prasad, we still have around 5 minutes clockwise. If people want to stay along, I'm fine. Friends, we are opening the forum for Q&A. Invitation is, if you have any real life issues you are facing, feel free to ask to Prasad. Let me remove spotlight on him. Or if you want to state any observation about what has been your experience of presence, what have you learned, feel free to do that. And one request before you log off, while we know we have taken your registration detail, please type in your email ID in the chat box on which you would like to receive, against which you would like to receive your ECU certificate. So do that before you log off. Yeah. So forum is open. Yeah, Prasad, go ahead.
I have some 5 minutes. Can I share some slides with them?
Oh, yeah. I think I'm going to do 2 ways, Prasad. Your slide, plus if people have any burning issue.
No, I'd rather listen to their issues. Then if there is time, I'll share some more information, but that's entirely up to you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So friends, if you don't have any issue, just give me thumbs up, and so Prasad then can share the slide. But if you have issue, raise your hands, please.
Their questions are more important, please.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
That's more important.
In regard. Yeah, Chakur has an issue. Chakur, go ahead.
Yeah, Prasad, it's very difficult for me when the client is really worried about an issue about business,
Right.
and that time holding back your domain. Otherwise, bang on, you want to advise something. So that is a big challenge which I'm learning to hold back and just be present there. Does it happen to any of us?
Absolutely. I think one of the ways is not to be self-conscious about it so much. Recognize that this is who you are. And remember, this whole question of advice sometimes, in my view, is if it's a situation or an issue which all coaching is not going to solve, questioning is not going to solve. You can say, can I take 10 minutes? I have something which might be of help to you. Okay, let me share it with you. That's it. And go back.
Oh.
The idea is not to follow the rules of ICF. They're important. The idea is to help the coachee, right? So you can take a sort of a time out and say, I have some expertise in this area, but is this what I understand? Share it and then go back to coaching again. And learn and develop the ability to give that advice in very succinct, very quickly, okay? Just a thought, just an idea, so that you don't do a consulting session in the whole thing. Right? Just an overview very quickly and say, if you want, we'll discuss that later. Yeah.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, that's all you do.
Yeah, Madan.
I had a question, Prasad. In the slide that you showed on the competencies itself, one of the points was when there is the coachee is in a very, maybe in a very disturbed or a very excited state, and, the conversation is going, there was a mention that presence means being able to kind of manage that situation or to be, I'm just trying to understand the correlation. I recently had an experience like that. It was very challenging because the coachee was so agitated. It was almost, we were not going anywhere. And the discomfort in me became too high.
How would you handle this? Let's stop here. There was a discomfort in you. So what would you do?
What should I do? Or what?
As a coach, what did you do? Or where's the issue here?
I mean, the issue, the issue is, I mean, staying quiet and just acknowledging the person does not seem to calm it down.
Excellent point. You brought up a very, very good point. Madan, I'm so happy you brought this out. Let's examine this other aspect of presence. Presence isn't simply just keeping quiet. Okay. Presence is about making a presence in that sense. So if you feel that you are greatly disturbed by this, okay, how nicely, quietly would you be able to share your feelings with the coachee and saying, this is what it is, but you know something? I'm also really uncomfortable and disturbed with this. Okay. Am I the only one feeling like this? Or do you feel the same way? And I was wondering if you could explore this. That's being present. Because you're present to your emotion as well.
Oh, that's an absolutely wonderful.
Yeah. You are present to your emotion. And you have to be present to all your emotions at that point of time. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hey, friends, very quickly. Yeah, Ravi, Raji, welcome to you. So official closure is 6:35. But if you are willing to wait for a few more minutes, I think Prasad has prepared some slide just for us. So may I know, thumbs up, how many people are willing to wait? So then I'll request Prasad to present his slide. Yeah, if you are there, then only we'll request Prasad. Yeah, Prasad on public demand.
Oh, thank you. Public demand. Thank you, Vivek.
Yeah. Rajiv, can I take your question later then? Is that okay, Rajiv? Yeah. Your slide, please. So, I think we may close around 6:40 then.
Yeah, I'll just take a few minutes. Okay. There are a couple of things which which have come up from this conversation, right? Right, here we are. See, one of the aspects of presence is purpose. And I think it's really important for us coaches to understand what our purpose is, because purpose is one of the meanings of life. Okay. Most of the time, our coaches are trying to make sense of what's going on in the world. Okay. And and have a meaning, trying to make sense, trying to make meaning of their world, the situation. It's all the time, it's incessant. And just as they're trying to do that, so are you trying to do that. So when you have a sense of purpose, people automatically feel that in your presence. Okay. We are drawn to people who are truly engaged with a clear sense of purpose. When you're pursuing something meaningful to you, there's an attractiveness about that because it comes up in the conversation. People find you because you're heading in a direction, do not appear to be lost. It's very instinctive, it's very fundamental. When they see that you're not lost, they see that you're very clear, they see that you have a purpose. It's not about a goal. Huh? Purpose and goal are different things. Okay. A goal is to achieve your MCC or PCC. That's a goal, very important. There are two types. A purpose is to contribute to whatever, is to be a coach, to be a better coach. It's just anything, but that's a purpose, it's a direction. So a direction and goals are different. As coaches, if you want to really bring your presence to a call, identify your purpose. Recognize if you don't have a purpose. See, life can go on. You can live your life without a purpose. It's not necessary to have purpose. It's not necessary to be happy and have a purpose. Okay. It's not necessary to have a purpose and be happy. You can be happy even without a purpose. You can be happy even without major goals. People are like that. But as a coach, if you want to create a coaching presence, in my view, it will help you to have a purpose. Because the kind of people you're coaching, the kind of role you are, your coachees would find you attractive if they see that you have a sense of purpose. Does that make sense? Yeah, I just want you to think about that. I don't have the answers to that here. We could have a longer discussion. This is a huge discussion that we can have, but this is sort of my views that I'd like to share with you. Second is, if you see what is purpose, there's a beautiful poem by W.H. Auden, which I wanted to share with you, right? You need not see what someone is doing to know if it's his vocation. You have only to watch his eyes, a cook mixing a sauce or a surgeon, making a primary incision, a clerk completing a bill of lading, wearing the same rapt expression, forgetting themselves in a function. How beautiful it is that eyes on the object look, right? Your coaches can see the same thing in you if you have purpose, right? You're so focused, you're so present, that's purpose, okay? I can share this with you. How to be present? If you're anxious as a coachee, if you're looking inwards, you can't be present. Okay. How to be present? One is to have little joys. Do we all of us take joy in the little things of life? We talk about it, but do you really practice it? Okay. Do we fall into the busyness trap and inattention? A coach, if he's very, very busy, cannot be present. You have to have some amount of unemployability in your day just to sense who you are. Yes. If you have a 9-hour, very busy day, you can't be a good coach. You can't be a present coach. Okay. You have to understand that busyness, being busy, is antithetical to being a coach, to being present. Right? And we can talk a lot about that. Okay. Anxiety or productivity. How many calls have I made? How much am I doing? This whole anxiety, am I using my time? And you can't be present if you have this anxiety, right? Insecurity, okay? As a coach, do you recognize that nothing is secure, everything is insecure? And are you comfortable living with that? As Keith said, are you comfortable with negative capability? Ability to be present in spite of everything going around you, and you're not.
I'm not listening. I hope they send the recording. Today I didn't know that I registered for it. It just came up on my phone.
Sorry? Sorry, I didn't hear you.
I muted the person. There was a background noise.
Oh, sorry. Okay. Are we fully learning this difference between binging on stimulation, savoring enjoyment in small doses? And again, what Herman has said, what sets us apart from those who live with a sense of fulfillment, from those who roam through life perpetually dissatisfied. The reason I'm sharing Herman Hesse and Auden is there's a lot of work going on about the need to be, quiet and still inside of who we are. Okay. And here's about the little joys. And again, the last word before I leave is about the role of a coach, right? Can we be the sounding board our coaches truly want us to be? Can we listen with an intensity that reveals what's not being said? Can we ask the question that illuminates? And can we share the observation that captures her thoughts perfectly? These are the 4 questions of presence. Okay.
Prasad, can you just put that slide on little joys, please?
Oh, okay, right. You want to see that? Oh, here we are. If you've heard of Herman Hesse, he's a fantastic philosopher and poet.
Yes, I've heard. Thank you.
There you go. Yeah, I can share this with you.
Awesome.
So that's it. Thank you so much.
Would you please stop sharing?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah.
So I'm just going to invite everybody, if you could come on camera and unmute yourself, and let's give a round of applause to Prasad. Beautiful, man. Presence is upstairs. I like the purposeful coaching as well, Prasad.
Thank you.
Very nice, very nice. Anirudh, are you on camera? Can you take a picture, or let me see? Let me do. If you could come on camera, I'll take a picture. You're going to try it first time. Everybody on camera.
Yeah.
Let me just ensure I got it. Give me a minute. Okay, so if you want to smile or make some crazy faces, please do so. I'm going to take one more picture. All right, smile, and let me copy paste. Did I get it? Yep, I got it. Thank you so much. We are closing 1 minute before the call, 6:40. Prasad, thank you so much. Really, I think it was quite insightful. While I'm sure all of us were doing. Yeah, Vikram, I know you want to say something. Let me close this and I'll invite you. So
I say thanks. I said just thanks to everyone.
Okay.
I lost in between.
Yeah. And after this call, I'm going to post on the group this invitation, which I'm going to invite to share is for members of ICF Pune chapter. So if you're a member of ICF Pune group, next month's workshop, you can be a speaker. So the theme we are saying is the one awesome coaching book I have read, right? So you're going to speak for 10 minutes. If you have read a book and you would like to talk about that, do share the summary and your name details to us. I'll share my email ID, yapnalkar@gmail.com. And once we receive entries, we at GC are going to look at entries, and 5 speakers will get a chance. We are trying to promote new speakers and new members, right? So one awesome coaching book I've read. It's a theme for our next week. Yeah. With that, let me take a pause here. Let me stop recording.